I don't care what happens, whether Nigeria remains one Nigeria, whether Nigeria is broken into pieces. What matters to me is, are the ordinary Nigerian people benefiting from Nigeria? Hello everyone, good afternoon, and I hope this video meets you well. So today I just want to, get your opinion before I actually dabble into the things that I want to say. We've always had this issue about the hatred that goes on between tribes in Nigeria, particularly the Yorubas, the Igbos, and the Hausas. These three major tribes, for some reasons, have issues with each other. Even though at times we try to paint it white, we try to force it and make it look as if there's no problem with these tribes. And then most of the time, when you hear people or the government come online, each time you try to defame or talk about the Igbos in a very bad way, or the Northerners, Hausas in a bad way, or the Yorubas, you will hear the government will always come out and they will tell you that you are fanning the amber of hatred within or between all these tribes. But who do you think is actually responsible for this hatred that is going on between all these tribes? Personally, I believe there's no bigger culprit. There's nobody responsible more than the government of Nigeria. We had issues in the past. I have lived in all parts of Nigeria. I lived in the north for many years. I lived in the east, Okunonu, and I lived in the southwest of Lagos. And discussing and living and hearing all the things that all these three regions talked about each other, you will understand that we can continue to pretend all we want, but there's a lot of hatred between the Igbos, the Hausas, the Yorubas, and you just need to understand and believe that there's that hatred. If you continue to deceive yourself that, oh, the Yorubas can work together, like what has been happening or trending recently about what happened with Peter Obi and Yakubu Gowon and things like that, and Peter Obi retweeting and saying how it is so important for one to forgive what has happened yesterday and move on. Yes, it is easy for you to forgive what happened yesterday and move on, but only if that what happened yesterday did not continue to repeat itself. So it's just like the case of a woman, a wife, or a husband, caught cheating by the husband. Even though as much as the husband will say, I have forgiven you, let us move on. Let's say it's the other way around. The wife can also say, I've forgiven you, let us move on. Even though they will never forget, because for every single time they sit down together, the first thought that comes into the mind of the woman or the man is that this man has cheated on me. Am I not good enough? And the same thing with the woman. This woman has cheated on me. Am I not good enough? You can never erase that from the mind of a husband or a wife. Okay? The only thing that can soften it is if that man has truly repented or that woman has truly repented and nothing anywhere near that happened. Not even a glance at another woman or another man. And then that woman gradually, the pain or the wound can be healed. But for as long as a thing like that happened, and as you go on, you still discover that that thing is still happening, how do you forget such an occasion? And that is the situation that we had in Nigeria with the Biafran War of 1967. Remember what happened. Gowon actually was the one at that time in charge of government. And like I keep saying, there are so many things he could have done for that war not to have happened, even though so many opportunities were there when the Igbos were maltreated in the north by the northerners. All that time, he had the opportunity to do something in order to stop it. And that thing went on and went on and went on until Ojukwu became fed up and decided this is it. And that was exactly what happened. And that war came. And after the whole war, you tell me, a war of 3 years, if you understand what it means to be starved of hunger, not for 6 months, not for 1 year, for 3 years, within that 3 years of war, the Biafrans went through hell. Not only are they just fighting Nigeria, a formidable country, and helped by British and so many other countries against a sectional part of Nigeria. And then in order to be able to win that war, they now had to starve them. They were not considering the children. They were not considering the women. They just went on and starved these people for all that year. But then that is not where I'm going to. After the war, what happened? No winner, no vanquish. No victor, no vanquish, as it was said then. But then what did Nigeria did? Nigeria promised the Igbos of 3 things, and at that time they call it the 3 R's. Reconciliation, rehabilitation, and reconstruction, I believe. I'm just trying to take you to a situation where if something happened, the only thing that can make you to forget about that thing, if that thing did not continue to be happening, then you probably may forget, but definitely you will not forgive. So those 3 R's, they never happen. From 1967, or let's say from 1970, when Gowon made that promise, those 3 R's never happened. There was nothing like rehabilitation. There was nothing like reconstruction. There was nothing like reintegration back into Nigeria. And that went on up till as I'm talking now. So if you want the Igbos to forget about the war, if you want the Igbos to forget about all what has happened, like Peter Obi was saying, then definitely those people that you think they are your brothers, if it did not come from those people, then we have a problem. Now you tell me today, as I'm speaking to you, the Southeast, despite there's nothing wrong with the Southeast, I keep saying it time and time and time again. All that is happening in the Southeast today is just an invention of certain people, and we all know where those people are from. How can you have situations in the north where you have bandit criminals, Boko Haram, and all these things that are happening, yet the government are not putting effort and its resources onto that part of the nation, but go to the Southeast? Every 200 meters, there's a roadblock. Why? Because they just don't want to see them step up and have a thought about whether they have to go back to what happened in 1967. But you cannot continue to hold people down in such a way, and you talk about reintegration, you talk about reconstruction, you talk about reconciliation. All those things never happened up till today. So I can understand if some people are talking about how one Nigeria can never work. I can understand it. You only need to sit down with a Yoruba man or an Igbo man or an Hausa man before you understand the hatred that actually exists. The United Kingdom is made up of Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. If the British that colonized Nigeria can understand the importance of division, what is wrong with us, Nigeria? At one point, when we had the regional government of the North the southeast, and the southwest, things were working for Nigeria. Things were working for every region. The northerners are growing. The southeast are growing. The southwest were growing at their own pace with their own government, and things was working. If today we continue to say we must remain under one umbrella, which we can all see that is not working, even though it is benefiting some sets of people. And that is why they continue to insist on that one Nigeria. But for the ordinary Nigerian people, I said it, and that is what I care about. I don't care what happens, whether Nigeria remains one Nigeria, whether Nigeria is broken into pieces. What matters to me is, are the ordinary Nigerian people benefiting from Nigeria? If many of us, or most Nigerians, are running away from Nigerians, or running away from Nigeria, going to China, going to Canada, going to even countries that they do not understand their language. But because these countries that we all run to, they have got system, they have got laws, that you just don't break laws that we break as we break laws in Nigeria anyhow and get away with it. And if we are comfortable in these countries, all we need to work on is to have or respect the rule of law and have laws that people have to abide by. And if we decide that we are not breaking up and we want to remain under one Nigeria, good luck. I have no problem with that. But is it working for the ordinary Nigerian people? For one another? Sometimes when you come on social media and you talk about these things, the government will want to come after you and they will say you are inciting hatred. I'll tell you the number one people that are the inciter of hatred. Buhari spent 8 years in his government, 8 good years. What happened? Look at all his ministerial appointments. Look at every single appointment that Buhari made. They were all one-sided. And at one point, Nigerians, we all said he is Fulanizing Nigeria. We were saying it. Nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to listen. Buhari did what he did for all those years. And when we want to talk about people that are inciting hatred, we come to ordinary one person on YouTube or the other person. Have you ever had a situation where you have all Igbos at the top of a directing company and at the bottom you have all Yorubas? What will happen? Hatred. That was what Buhari did for 8 years. We saw how he caged the Southeast. We saw his actions and inactions that made Southeast ungovernable. And up till today, that is what is happening. Have a look at Tinubu today. The same thing. Check all Tinubu's ministerial appointments. Check all of them out. 80% of them are Yorubas. Are there no Igbos in Nigeria? Apart from Nyesom Wike and maybe 1 or 2. Are there no Igbos in Nigeria? All the northerners that Buhari packed and put in his own government, Tinubu has taken all of them and thrown them out of the window. And we are talking about one Nigeria. How can you have one Nigeria when we have a situation like that? It is totally impossible. So if there is any one person or one organization or one country that is actually fanning this hatred within the tribes of Nigeria, is the government of Nigeria. Because they are the one, despite the constitution, they will never follow that constitution at all. And that is the place that we start all this madness. The moment you refuse to follow the constitution, a book is just like a Christian with the Bible or a Muslim with the Quran, and you never follow what is in the Bible or the Quran, and you are just doing your own thing. That is what Nigerian government are doing. You have a book, constitution, that tells you what and what to do. But do we care about it? No, we do what pleases us. We please our own people, and we say we have one Nigeria. We don't have one Nigeria. It's one madness. And that is why I always advocate for Nigeria to be restructured back to the regional system where every region will look after itself. But if we continue to deceive ourselves that the Yorubas, look at what happened recently in Lagos. It's not even up to 2 years. Forget about what Buhari did for 8 years. When Tinubu came in, remember all the things that was done to the Igbos in Lagos. Look at what happened to them in Lagos and all the things that were said about them. Lagos is not their land. They should move away from Lagos. And all those people that made those statements, as I speak today, none of them was in prison. None of them was charged to court for what they have said. And you say we have one Nigeria. And you are saying the Igbos should forget about what happened in 1967. The bulk stops at the table of whoever is leading Nigeria. And the number one person that can bring Nigeria together is the president. Whether Peter Obi can now do that, I am not sure. Okay, because these people, most of them has destroyed Nigeria beyond repair. And no matter what you do as the president, those people that are not in seat, they will continue to do things that will destroy your government. And that is why I have always advocated for us to go back to capital punishment. First of all, we need to sort our electoral process out. For us to be able to elect the right person, and that right person being given to Nigeria. But at the moment, with what we have with INEC, it's not going to happen. And this is why I advocate for capital punishment, because that INEC employee that deliberately changed those numbers on the INEC documentation should not only be charged to court and go to prison, because when that happened, the person that influenced him in the first place will go behind the back, as we see of things like Bobrisky and so many others. And they will go and set that same INEC employee free. And then that will give the next person the impunity to do that same thing again. But if such a person, with what we have today, is executed and it goes viral, then everybody that has been employed, because I'm telling you, the only thing that can change a country is a free and fair election. Glitches should not happen going forward. But it will always happen because we had governorship elections that are in between the national election. But all the corrections that are supposed to have been made so that we can show people that you don't go there and mess up, none of them had been done. None of them, no electoral offenses had been dealt with. And gradually, we are going to 2027. What is going to happen there? And that is why we as Nigerians must continue to stand up and hold these people accountable. Just because of what is happening does not mean we will not have to get our voter's card, get your PVC, and when that time comes, vote. How you are now going to defend your vote will be determined by what happened that time. So we're not going to give up. We will continue in order to do the right thing, but waiting for the government to slip up. And when they do, that is when we will now take our chances. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next video. Please don't forget to subscribe, or at least consider subscribing, because we are talking about how, for those that believe that Nigeria can still work, for those that believe that there can be changes in Nigeria. Please subscribe to this channel and God will bless you as you do. Share this video because the most important thing is to start conscientizing the minds of people. Get your PVC. If they said that is the only way we need to follow, get your PVC. And then let's follow that way and let them have a glitch. And then we can take what is ours.